All right, and we're recording. So my name is Alex Bond, again with Athens-Clarke County Leisure Services, and the Nature Division, which is Memorial Park, Sandy Creek Park, Sandy Creek Nature Center, and then all of our trails and open space. It includes greenways, Firefly Trail, all those amenities. So part of my job is being the liaison with the Oconee Rivers Greenway Commission and working on these updates. So Daniel, do you mind going ahead and sharing your screen?
Yeah, and I'll just go ahead and introduce myself as well. I'm Daniel Sizemore, one of the park planners in the administration division, and we handle all of the long-term planning of greenways and parks, and this is one of those things.
Awesome. Okay, so the Greenway Network Plan is a plan designed to originally to capture all of our greenway corridors, which are the 100-year flood zones around all of our corridors, and includes the trail within there. So sometimes you may hear us talk about Greenway Corridor, and that's talking about the space around the water, and then Greenway Trail will be the actual paved amenity with benches and all that. So um, again, just two things to kind of speak to, and the ordinance itself does speak to the corridor. So this is our Greenway Network Plan for 2020, and we're taking it out of the printed format. If you find it right now, the 2016 version, which is the last approved version, was a book in PDF format, and now Daniel has put a lot of effort and work into this to make a story map. And a story map is it's web enabled. We're going to be stepping through it tonight. It will be available after this for you to kind of refresh, share, do whatever you want to. But the story map and the map at the end are the network plan, and we're actually going to be stepping away from doing all of the printed 11 by 17 or PDFs 11 by 17, just kind of as a way to create a more usable and shareable and obtainable document. So as you guys go through this, understand that the story map is better for a computer. It is you drive through it by just scrolling. So Daniel's just going to be scrolling on his mouse, and everything kind of just it's like the credits at Star Wars. You know, you just the beginning, it just keeps on going and going and going. Every time you guys see blue in any of these text boxes, it is a linked document. And Daniel's linked to a ton of things out there. So what is the network plan? That's what we're going to be showing you guys tonight. And this is going to be there's a cycle to update the Greenway Network Plan. Now, usually it's every 2 years we do the maps. This in 2018 there was just a lot going on, so there were some changes in 2018, but we never got them approved by mayor and commission. So you will see the 2016 plan is what a lot of our baselines are, and then we're jumping all the way to now, so to 2020. So and Daniel's just going to keep on driving for us. So you will see, yeah. There's going to be a couple things that are color coded, and we will address specifically in the story map and in the map that is interactive at the end. And that's going to be things that are simplification, or are reroutes, additions, and relocations. Understand that the last time the Greenway Network Plan was updated, we did not have an Athens in Motion, which is another commission that deals with trails within the right of way, and they now have their own plan. And when we get to the maps, you guys will see where their trails kind of plug in more with our trails, and they kind of had a driving force behind the simplifications. Across the top on the story map, you guys can see there are bookmarks, and you can jump past all this if you're revisiting it or not really interested in all this other stuff and just want to get to the public input tool at the end or the interactive map. Okay, so first, now that we're stepping into an Athens-Clarke County where there's more than just the Greenway Network Plan, we're going to show you what these systems, these trail networks and corridor networks are. And so when you can keep on going, man. This is what our Clarke County map looks like. And can you zoom in a little map? But you guys can see the color-coded um, maps here. We've got green, which is our Greenway Trail and Corridor. We've got our other partner networks, and we've got our Firefly. The next page in the story map actually kind of zooms in. We're going to one at a time. So partnership, we've got two that are highlighted, and that is the Athens in Motion, which again, it is a separate commission. They work through the Transportation and Public Works Department, through the Bike Ped Coordinator, which they're looking for one right now. And that if you click this plan, that blue link right there, you actually get to see it. And then also this the purple loop around the airport as well. And then you guys can see that that loop, it's something that will be through the airport, air SPOS projects, the Lexington Road Corridor
Hey, Alex.
improvements, and it.
You're starting to break up a good bit.
Okay.
You mind if I take over just this part?
That
Okay. I'll just finish talking about the network real quick, and let me know. We'll give it a shot. Let his bandwidth catch up a bit. So right here, as we discussed, Athens in Motion. Let me get back to where we were. Then we also created a new designation for a network called Urban Trails. And this network actually represents alignments outside of the Athens in Motion plan, but they also fall outside of the Greenway corridor. So they're not really within any trail network, but we felt that a lot of these were important connections for both neighborhoods and parks, but they don't fall within the traditional Greenway corridor. Additionally, we have the Firefly Trail network, which is a planned 39-mile rail trail. There's kind of a description here, and then we actually link to the Firefly Trail Inc. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this in the past. It will extend from Athens down to Union Point, and this section, there's about 7 miles within Athens-Clarke County. Additionally, there is a proposed or a potential 38-mile rail trail corridor called the Athens Line Trail, which has been discussed in the past, and we just felt like it was important to include this in the trail network as well. Moving on from that, this is the actual Greenway network. So this is all of the trails that fall within the floodplain and natural resource areas within Athens-Clarke County. And then we also have the Upper Oconee Water Trail, which is part of the Greenway network. It is actually the non-motorized trail, that boat trail that goes, you can take a kayak, float down the river. We have one existing boat launch in Ben Burton Park, and then there are 2 funded boat launches over here in the salmon color. Those are at College Avenue Greenway Trailhead, and then the other one is in Dudley Park. That one is a tie-off. So you can see here are a lot of the other trails that we plan on putting in, a lot of those boat launches, I should say, moving forward. And we have several grant applications out right now on various ones. So hopefully in the next few years, we'll be seeing a lot more river access points. So Alex, do you want to try taking back over to see if your bandwidth is better?
How do I sound now?
Much better.
Awesome. Okay. So sorry, no video, but it is what it is. So thanks for doing that. And you guys can see here all the networks added back together because in the long run, if you're someone who's on the trail, if you're someone visiting Athens and you want to get around, you're not really going to care so much who maintains the trail, who owns the trail. You're just going to want to know about all this connectivity. So that's why this year we're kind of stepping into these multi-system and how they all touch and how they all connect together. And going forward, we'll be able to kind of work together and make sure that we don't lose any pieces of trail as they're added to Athens in Motion or added to one of these urban trail networks. So status of trail construction, and this is going to be it's a bump because we're jumping from 2016 to 2020 when we've had a lot of funded trail get on the ground. It's been a lot of SPLOST projects that have gotten this done, T-SPLOST projects. So if you'll just show us the 16 map. So this, you can see the existing trails are the darker color, and then the funded, and step into 2020. And now you can
And
see,
hold on, I do want to point out there's a mistake here. I'm not sure what happened, but this is not existing. This is funded. So I'll fix that as we go forward. I just wanted to make sure that was covered. It's correct in this data. It's just somehow got messed up in the other.
and that's, I'll also point out, if you came to our presentation on Tuesday, you will see a couple slight variations, and we have gotten some public input already. People asking us to make things a little easier. So if you watch that presentation, which is recorded and publicly available, and you watch this one, Daniel's worked really hard to make some improvements that are hopefully making it more accessible for people to understand the information and give us the input. So as you can see, it's a big jump. We've added a lot of trails. We've got plans to add a lot of trail within the corridors. So it's exciting. Now, with that said, all of these that we're about to step through are not, they have their own set of public input when it actually comes to design. So when we're going to, we've already had some public input for this 2011 funded Carr Creek Trail. I'm sorry, not for the Carr Creek Trail, for the underpass, which we'll get into in a minute. So just understand there are some things that you may see on these maps that are not on the ground yet, but this is more of a long-term plan that we're seeking public input on. So in 2011, the trail construction has the Carr Creek Trail, North Oconee River Trail extension, and that one is highlighted in yellow kind of to the south. This is one you may have heard of in recent mayor and commission meetings, where the opportunity has come along for us to actually get a wider swath of property for the Greenway corridor. And so that line that it may be adjusted a little bit now that we have a little more wiggle room there, but it is funded. We've also got the Oconee Hills Cemetery stretch, which is right towards the middle of the screen. And if you click on any of these links, because this story map is what you guys will have access to, if you click on any of those blue links on the left, it'll actually take you to the project page, the SPLOST project page. Then we've also got Dudley Park improvements, which is right there where Daniel's putting his cursor. That's going to include restrooms, a place for us to park the mobile stage, or community events to happen on a concrete stage at the front, and all these things are happening. Then we can go to our next set of projects, which are the T-SPLOST projects. So this includes the Oconee Bridge underpass. It includes,
Sorry, not sure what just happened.
So like I said, when it comes to these actual construction pages, or these construction projects, they will have their own set of public input, and people have commented on like the Oconee Bridge underpass. We've also had public input and are working on the trestle bridge that's over Trail Creek right at the edge of Dudley Park. That one's one that currently a vendor has been selected, and due to market prices, we're figuring out where we can go with that one. And we've also got Firefly Trails, the subproject 2, which is cleared right now. They've got orange fence, tree protection fence, going all the way from the racetrack gas station at Old Winterville Road, going out to Hancock Road. And then Firefly 3, which is the another one that we've been seeking public input on, and that's the one that picks up from there, from Hancock Road, goes all the way out Moores Grove, or Spring Valley, then Moores Grove, and connects to the Winterville portion of the Firefly Trail 3.1 that Leader Services just opened. Okay. Then we also, again, trying to capture all of this connectivity in Clarke County. We're showing two of our Athens in Motion partner trails, multi-use trails, or and you guys can see the one down here where Daniel's cursor is Cherokee Road, and there's also one for Jefferson River Road. So through SPLOST 2020, you guys, again, there will be other projects with their own specific public input. That'll include the Jackson Street Art Walk, which could include traffic slowing, traffic exclusion. It'll have its own project design. There's the Tallahassee Road Connector that goes all the way out to the Tallahassee Forest Park, which we are also highlighting in yellow. And so that's another project that through the next 11 years, the 11 tiers of SPLOST 2020 is when that'll get worked on. And then also the Beach Haven Park, which is right there, highlighted in yellow. That property also is funded already through SPLOST 2020 and will have its own separate project where we'll be seeking public input. And if you're wondering where you find out about all this public input about these projects, there is a website that we have set up, and it's accgov.com/leisure services listens. We try and make sure people can find that. You can find it from our leisure services website, but that is where we put individual buttons that kind of house all of the project details, including the public input sessions like this, or like ones in person, like we're going to do on Saturday at Bishop Park. Okay, you want to take it from here, man?
Absolutely. All right, so in addition to talking about networks and the current status, we've also created some typologies, which is where we've categorized all of the different trails that you see in the network into 3 different typologies, and this is for planning purposes. So you can see here there are 3 types, primary, secondary, and tertiary. These categories help categorize various trail types and our standards, and we'll go through those here in just a second. You can see as we go down, the primary corridors are the ones that fall along that primary corridor. So in terms of the Greenway, it's along the river networks. And so we have the Middle Oconee and the North Oconee, and then the Oconee rivers here in Athens. And you can see the Firefly primary corridor is the Firefly Trail, and then there's the Athens line as well. So these are all the primary corridors. They typically run along that kind of main core. They're usually 12 to 14 feet wide. They are the most heavily traveled routes. So they serve not only recreation, but also transportation, commuter traffic, all of those things. You can see we also have these section views of each typology. Here are all of the secondary corridors. So these are typically 10 to 12 feet wide. They are usually connecting primary corridors to each other, or they run as trails alongside kind of the major tributaries in Athens. So in terms of volume, they are kind of moderate to heavy bike and pedestrian traffic. They might be used by someone who lives in a neighborhood and wants to go to the secondary trail and get down to that primary connector, or they might just use that trail itself without even going into the primary network. In terms of surfacing, I forgot to mention the primary is usually reinforced concrete because of the traffic volume. The secondary could be a variety of trail surfaces. Typically, we recommend reinforced concrete, but that depends on the actual building specs at the time. And finally, the tertiary corridors, which I know they're kind of hard to see here, they connect to neighborhoods or smaller roads and trailheads. So think of these as kind of your local neighborhood road of getting to that main corridor. You know, this is what gives people access to the Greenway, to the Firefly, so that we're not just blitzing a trails straight through, we're actually also connecting neighborhoods and grocery stores and all of those things that, you know, we really want to connect to, the main purpose and goals behind all of this. These are typically no more than 10 feet wide. They could be a variety of trail surfaces, asphalt, concrete, natural surface, or aggregate. So that, you know, once again, would be determined at the time of construction and funding. So we don't necessarily get into speccing surfaces for the trails at this time when we're looking at this scale of planning. So now we're on to the main reason that we did this update, which is to get feedback on our newly proposed alignments, route revisions, and graphic changes. So we have 4 main categories of changes. These are simplifications, reroutes, additions, and removals. So we're going to kind of keep into those categories. In terms of simplifications, really what that means is just some routes were simplified to show the conceptual nature of the Greenway Network Plan. We felt like the 2016, while it was a lot more comprehensive than what we'd had in the past, and it was fairly complex, and there was some confusion around our different symbols and stuff like that. So we really like simplified it down, make it a little easier to understand. And there's also this legend over here to show you what everything means. The purple lines are all of the 2020 proposed changes. The red lines are all of the 2020 proposed removals, and the yellow lines are all of the 2016 approved alignments as part of that master planning process. Black is just all of our existing trails. And as Alex referenced earlier, we've made some changes to this, and that is one of them. We want it, so if you look at our video from Tuesday, these have different titles, but we felt this more accurately portrayed what these lines actually mean. So we're going to start with the Beach Haven Trail. So this, in our original 2016 master plan, we had these point symbols that represented connections into exceptional resource areas, also called ERAs. So these ERAs are basically, you know, really valuable spaces where we wanted to be sensitive with how the trail was designed through them. What we've done is we have basically drawn in the most simple alignment through this corridor, and in this case along the sewer easement lines. And this is just to simplify it down so that people understood that this trail down here and down here is actually connected to here, because with those points it was kind of vague. And this is a good time to also mention that a lot of our trail alignments were altered either due to discussions with public utilities, where we try to nest our trails on top of the sewer line as it goes in. When they do a sewer line replacement, sometimes they can go through and put in like a 50-foot corridor, which looks really impactful. And then we come back behind them and put in our trail. And so everyone kind of thinks, oh, Greenway is blitzing these 50-foot corridors. In reality, what's happening is they need that amount of space, up to that amount of space. It's not always 50 feet, but they need up to that amount of space to really put their line in and get the equipment in, and then we're able to kind of come back. And so as those corridors kind of naturalize and grow back in, you'll see that, you know, it kind of returns back to those natural states. In this particular situation, we're not looking at 50-foot corridors, though. I wanted to be clear on that. This is it's a really beautiful place, and it's not currently open to the public, but in the future, once we're able to use some of those SPLOST 2020 funds to, you know, build this out, hopefully we can get some public access in there, and hopefully as part of that we can have some really great trails. Moving on down here, this is River Hill Drive along here, and in the initial planning we kind of showed these switchbacks and where it's really complicated and going up on the street. We felt that it's much easier to just simplify it down and say, you know, the core of the Greenway is along the river network. We're not guaranteeing that this will run along behind all of these houses, but we just, this alignment can shift back up to the street once the funding is there. But just for the sake of simplification in the view of this, we wanted to kind of, simplify that down, make it a little easier to see, yeah, okay, you want a trail on the river. We've also added in some trails on the other side as well that you can see here. This is kind of giving extra access. We cut down on several of the bridges. So you can see originally we had 1, 2, 3 bridges spec'd across through here. On Tuesday, one of the pieces of input we received was retaining this bridge access, which we totally, we're going to take that into account. If you agree with that, you can add that to your comments at the end of the, once we get to the public input tool at the end. But this essentially, we just want to show this corridor as, getting access to the river for those neighborhoods. Brooklyn Creek is one that has gained some traction in the past few years. I believe Athens Land Trust has applied several times for grants, and I'm not sure where the funding has fallen on that, but we just made a couple adjustments to it based on the sewer service delivery plan where they altered some of their routes. We just wanted to kind of piggyback along with them where they're doing a sewer replacement project, and we can kind of get our trail in there along with the negotiations. For the Georgia State Botanical Gardens, this is just basically the same as for Beach Haven, where this is an exceptional resource area, and we showed the connection to this with these points, and we just wanted to simplify it down and show the pathway through here. Once again, this is not us saying this is where we want to build the trail. All of the final trail alignment would actually be discussed once funding was approved and UGA was at the table, and we had plenty of negotiations. So this is just a line saying we want to connect from these trails to this point, and this is an ideal route based on the topography. Caldwell Circle is another similar where we showed it going up on the street, and we just wanted to keep it on the river. So once again, it's can be shifted up. This is not an set in concrete. And then Lexington Road, this route was simplified after, as Alex mentioned earlier, Athens in Motion came out in 2017. Our plan came out in 2016. So in 2018, which is when this particular change went into effect, I took that 2017 Athens in Motion plan and we tried to find areas of overlap. In this particular section, we found that really the Athens in Motion alignment of having a separated facility along Lexington Road, which goes from Whit Davis Road up to Barnett Shoals Road here, that particular segment would really give the connectivity that we were looking for in creating this. Now, we also added this one in. This is the Carriage Lane connector, where it ends currently right here at Carriage Lane, and this would essentially take it up and connect it across over to Lexington and tie into the Athens in Motion network, and then the future airport trail loop. This is also within a tax allocation district. That was another one of the things that we went through, and we reviewed the various tax allocation districts and realigned some of these lines to make sure that they were within those districts so that, as that money comes in, we could potentially use that as a funding source for getting some of this multi-use trail or path throughout the county. And then while I'm on that subject, Greenway, we call Greenway trails multi-use trails. In Athens in Motion, the ones that are along the road are considered multi-use paths. So we've got multi-use paths along the road, multi-use trails are off the road and outside of the right-of-way. Holland Youth Sports Complex is one of the sites that's funded with a 2020 SPLOST funds, and it will mostly improve this park to make it more of a community park, more of a destination, but also improving all of those ball fields and soccer fields, which are really badly needed. Rather than bringing the trail through there, which the connectivity, the pedestrian accessibility through the park would be covered in that master planning process, we felt it was better for the neighborhoods to actually tie along behind Vineyard Drive here. And this could have little, plugins to allow people from these neighborhoods to have access to this trail. Over here, you can also see that this is actually Jefferson River Road multi-use path. And so with a short adjustment of either sidewalks or bike lanes, we could connect. Also, I believe Vincent Drive is funded in SPLOST 2020 as well. So that would be sidewalks, if I'm correct. So from there, you could travel from Jefferson Road up Jefferson River Road, connect over to this multi-use path, and then tie into this trail, which will take you down to Sandy Creek Nature Center and thus the main Greenway corridor. So this is a really great kind of connectivity piece. Moving down into Normaltown, there is quite a few different sections here, and you'll see that in our public input tool where you can actually click on each of these trail segments and comment on them. And we have them grouped so that it's not hundreds, although it is about 42 or 43, I believe. This particular section, which connects essentially from Chase Street Elementary over to Prince Avenue. Some of this is Athens in Motion Network, so it ties into that as well. And then this particular section kind of goes up along that stream corridor. This is one of those efforts where we wanted to kind of get it back into the natural corridor, just as the conceptual alignment. And from there, if we need to bring it up to the street, we can. But the connectivity of this piece would tie over into this Chase Street area, as well as coming down and connecting over to Ben Burton on Mitchell Bridge Road. As part of the Chase Street connectivity, our original route we wanted to bring it up into this Chase Street warehouse district, but we also wanted to provide the opportunity to come up through this tax allocation district, which is actually these parcels. So we've created this as an alternate and then routed the main course up here along Waterworks Drive, and this actually connects Chase Street to the Greenway corridor itself via the Athens line that could potentially be here one day. Trail Creek Trail is currently this little bit right here. I believe it's a half-mile long, and this section right here would actually add on connectivity into the social services that are on North Avenue, grocery stores, department stores, neighborhoods, all of those things that would actually tie those to the neighborhoods down here in East Athens, where we currently tie into Vine Street. And then there's also the Trail Creek Trail West Fork, which extends all the way up along Highway 29. This was added as kind of a boost to get better access and amenities out here in an underserved part of town. And the terminus is up here at Pinewood Estates, and over here at J.J. Harris Elementary School. We really wanted to connect this neighborhood to that school. And then in addition to all of the other connections along here, those would all be connected to the school as well. So if a student, has parents who don't have a car or, has to take the bus, this gives them an alternate way to get to school. Shoal Creek Trail is one of the more natural areas of town. This is in what is considered the green belt, I believe. And this trail would connect this big green space down here, which is currently our Cedar Creek Water Reclamation Facility. We also have Rock and Shoals natural area here where we just acquired an additional fair amount of acreage. I don't know the number off the top of my head. And so that would actually, this site actually is an opportunity for a large green space on the southern point of the county. And then this trail would tie that future green space, potential green space, up over to Lexington Road, and then through that urban trail that we're specking in here, that would tie it to the Southeast Clarke Park. So in this section, we actually have one trail here for open for comment. This trail is open for comment, and then there's one here as well. So this trail actually connects through the site up past Rock and Shoals and connects to Barnett Shoals Road, which through the Athens in Motion network, once again, we can tie straight to Barnett Shoals Elementary School. So this is just bringing a lot of pedestrian and bike connectivity in this part of town. McNutt Creek is a really awesome idea that I'm excited about. So this trail actually connects from the end of let's see, Cherokee Road, I believe. Yeah. No, it's not Cherokee Road. Anyway, Cleveland Road, sorry. Connects from the end of Cleveland Road past the Caterpillar plant, and this is an existing sewer line. It's currently used as a recreational trail by neighbors, but there's not much connectivity within it. So you can kind of go walk a section, but then once you get to where maybe a stream or a tributary crosses over, the trail kind of drops off and you turn around. So this would actually bridge that corridor and give you access to a much nicer long trail. Also, this is a really great opportunity for some green space on the west, in West Athens, which has been stressed, over the past several years that they really need more green space. So this would be a really great opportunity for that. In addition to the green space addition, it would also bring the opportunity for several gateways to enter into the county. This includes along Epps Parkway, Jennings Mill Road, and Jimmy Daniel Road, or Highway 78. Really any of these kind of larger corridors where we're going to have to bridge or cross, we could have some really great, like, welcome to Athens identities in those along those roadways. Turkey Creek Trail is another trail that we thought would be a really great addition. With the funding of Tallahassee Road connector, we felt like the next best step would be to start tying these neighborhoods into that connector so that they can have access to both the services and businesses down near Mitchell Bridge, and also connecting them up to the green space, Tallahassee Forest, which, as we mentioned earlier, is funded in 2020. So it also would tie to the school here. So this is just a really great kind of connectivity or a recreational use for the neighborhoods all through here. Then going back over to Normaltown now, this is an addition. So previous one was a simplification, this is an addition. We wanted to create some connectivity to actually bring you from Ben Burton Park kind of through this. There's a new housing development going in here, and they had in their plan that they wanted a multi-use path, and we thought that was a really great idea, and we wanted to encourage that. And so we have shown a path that could connect from Ben Burton through there all the way over here into Normaltown. So that really gives some great access to businesses where Prince Avenue is such a busy street, Hawthorne as well. Like, this really kind of opens up kind of this whole area, in addition to like Forest Heights, to kind of be able to access those spaces. In addition to that, we added in Oglethorpe Elementary connector. So this actually connects from the Tallahassee Road loop exit area and from the Oglethorpe Elementary School, as well as from Bishop Park. Sorry, my brain's slowing down. This actually connects all of them together. This is a kind of conceptual alignment. I know there's already some trails back in here, but we thought it'd be a really great opportunity to make some of those official. These are within, I believe, the Urban Trails Network. So this is one of those opportunities to bring urban trails to some areas of Athens that would get people off the street and through these kind of nicer spaces. Not that our streets aren't nice. Great job, DPW. Another addition is the Georgia Square Mall Loop. So this is kind of an interesting opportunity. There's a proposed tax allocation district around the mall area, and we felt it would be really cool to have kind of a perimeter trail where you could make maybe like a green belt almost that goes around the mall, and it could have trees and shrubs and shade. There's currently a ton of parking out there, and it could be really great to turn some of that parking into green space and then have a trail that goes through there. The Athens Wellness Center or the Athens-Clarke County Wellness Center is over here. It's something that ACC Gov employees can use and their families, and giving access to a network like this would be a really great addition to kind of giving them more than just do some laps around the parking lot. Moving on to the removals, this section, we called it the campus connector, and it was going through the heart of campus and kind of along some of the waterways there. And after discussing this with the campus planners, we just felt like there's a lot of difficulty in developing this area, and they already have a really great pedestrian network for their students, and we didn't want to kind of move in and say, oh, I think y'all should do this. So we felt like, taking parts of this network out, just, we can still explore this as connectivity is needed, but they've already done a really great job so far. The Brooklyn Creek to Normaltown connector. So this is the Brooklyn Creek Trail, and here's Normaltown. We originally had a line just to show connectivity between them along King Avenue, but since Athens in Motion is here and King Avenue is a pretty narrow street, it would be pretty difficult to get a multi-use path through there. We just felt like, with the connectivity in that neighborhood, using the sidewalks, you could get from the end of this trail up to that. We can still provide some wayfinding as part of a wayfinding master plan that we're also working on. But for now, it wasn't necessary as part of the network that we're talking about today. And then the final removal was over here at Tallahassee Road Connector. It just, the project is funded to Three Oaks Drive because those are kind of the final, that's like the last neighborhood in Athens. There's a few houses out here, but getting a trail out here would be really great once we have our neighbor to the north, Jackson County, on board with building a trail that could potentially tie into this one. And so just for the sake of, kind of cleaning it up a bit, we wanted to go ahead and just remove that last section there. So those are a lot of the main updates that we covered. It definitely doesn't cover every single one, but we wanted to provide you several examples and context so that you could get a good picture of what we've been doing over the last few years. Right here, what we've done is we've actually created an interactive map of those previous maps. I do want to also mention that you can click and drag and zoom in on all of those maps as well if you wanted to find out where exactly your house is, if it's just outside of the range. But this is kind of our interactive map. It gives instructions here. There's a legend, and as you zoom in, you can see, a little more detail there. You can use the plus and minus symbols over here for zooming in and out, and then you can just click to drag. And as you explore, you can click, I think you can click on portions. Let's see. Oh. All right. Hey, Alex, can you take over real quick?
Yeah, no problem.
Need to reconnect.
Okay. All right. So what Daniel's done there is highlighted a lot of the main differences, the main things that you would see, you'll see between the 2016 and the 2020 plan, and what we're looking for input on. The part to come is actually the public input tool. And the public input tool is are you good again?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, awesome. All
Let
right,
me
so
let me get rid of that gray box down there. Maybe. Oh, okay. Well,
that's fine. Just keep on rolling, man.
all right. Okay, so once again, interactive map. You can play with that, explore. I think, let me just double check and see. Okay, so there are not clickable things here, but that's okay because there are in the public input tool. So this is one of our other changes. It kind of, on Tuesday, the story map just brought you straight into the map. There's no context about what do these colors mean. So we wanted to go ahead and just create a link to a map that would make it a little easier. So if you jump ahead using the taskbar at the top, you can come straight to this page. And then you can click on this link. That'll take you to the web app, is what this is. This is called a web app. And essentially just gives you some about information. There's a legend up here that highlights what these colors mean. We also wanted to kind of categorize them a bit. So this looks like this is all there is in the legend, but if you scroll down, you'll see that there are all these different groupings of trails. So the river trails, we made all of those green, so it's easy to see on the map. Here are all the river trails. The tributary trails, those are blue. The green space connector trails are purple. Urban trails are brown. Urban trail connectors are orange. And then our normal town connectors are red. And we separated those out because there's only so many versions of brown and orange that you can do. So we needed to kind of split those colors up a bit, but we kind of kept them in the same family. In addition to that, you can see that this covers our existing and funded trails as black and gray. We wanted to keep those neutrals. So if you click on those, you won't actually be able to select anything. Whereas if you click on one of these trails, it'll select the whole thing and it gives you a description of what that is, as well as the option to click to comment. So in this section, this particular segment is talking about the connections here and here. And it says Trail Creek Trail creates an opportunity to connect North Avenue businesses and social services, neighborhoods, grocery stores, and Howard B. Stroud Elementary School to the existing Trail Creek Trail. This connection will provide direct access from Vine Street in East Athens to these amenities. We've gone through and we have a description on every single one of these. And so that should help a bit with figuring out which trails are which. And then for the 2016 alignment, you can see where those changes were made. We brought that in as well. So that's not selectable, but you can see where the old alignment was. That way it'll kind of help you remember back to our changes, because the main thing that we're wanting to get comments on aren't necessarily every little change that we've done, but for the trails and the connectivity around Athens, and kind of what's your thoughts on this? Over here, you can see there's a link to get back to the story map. There's also a little link icon here. It'll bring you to the story map as well. So if you exit out of here, you can still open the About panel again here at the bottom, but there's also a button up here. So I'm going to go through the buttons real quick, and then we'll get into the survey itself. So plus, minus, or you can just scroll your wheel on your mouse to zoom in and out. The home, so like if you end up zoomed in really far and you're like, oh, I'm lost, you can click home. It'll take you back out to this extent. This button will actually pick up your location. It's not going to be correct for me because this is apparently where the county location is. So since I'm on my VPN network, it's showing me as here. But if you are on your own VPN and it's set to like Germany, I don't know what it'll do. So just be careful with that. You can always click the home button if it takes you to a weird place. From that, we also give kind of the explanation of what's available here. Over here, there's a scale bar down here. There's a layer list, which will allow you to actually kind of turn some of these things off. So you can, if you turn all of it off, it'll just be black, which, as I see it, now I see it, it makes you kind of think that that's completed, but it's not. This will just help you kind of look at those layers, and you can also zoom to those as well. So you can change the transparency. It gives you some flexibility in how you want to mess around with the map. You can exit out of these or minimize them. There's also a measurement tool. So you can say, how long is this trail? And as you click through, it just adds it up over there for you. And if you double click, it finishes that count. So you can see there's the Tallahassee Road connector at 4 miles. And then if you want, you can click this print icon. I'm not going to do that because it takes a really long time to load, but essentially when you click that, gives you some options for some layouts. You can also just do map only. It'll essentially print your screen and then whatever's on it, and then you can save it as a JPEG or a PDF. You can change the resolution. That being said, if you know how to print your screen, print screen is a little bit easier to use, and you can like save it to your computer. This will help if you're wanting to like show an example, or if you use screen capture or something. And don't ask me how to get rid of the measurement stuff. Yeah, clear. Okay. So back to kind of the main reason that we have this. That's just kind of how you use this tool. Also, I want to highlight, we will be releasing a video to show how to use this tool. I got some editing to do, but hopefully we can get that done as soon as we can, and you can follow that video. Maybe it'll be more concise. I don't know. If you want to comment on a section, you can actually click on the trail, you can read the description, and you can click to comment. This will take you to our survey tool. On this tool, you just give us your name. Do you live in Athens? Select your zip code, or if you don't have it listed, you can type in other. This is just a question to kind of help us categorize the answers. So if you're more of a commuter and you like these trails, then it just helps us get a better picture of who's commenting on what. It's not a mandatory question. I don't think any of these really are, but the more you can answer, the more it'll help us. Based on what trail you selected, it will populate this field right here. So once again, this comment is only for the Holland Youth Sports Complex connector. So what are your feelings towards this? Positive, negative, and neutral. And then we give you an opportunity to write in comments. If there isn't enough space, you can always kind of add another comment, and as long as you use the same name, we'll know to group those together. But we gave you 255 characters. That's just kind of a default option. Hopefully that's enough. You can also set the desired priority. Now, this isn't necessarily going to influence anything in this update, because in this update, we're just doing graphic realignments. Next year, when we get into the written report, that's when we really start resetting the priorities of the various trails around the county. So we can use this next year to kind of get a feel for where do people's priorities lie. Do we see a lot of action in this one spot of town where they really want some trails? Maybe that'll influence the discussions as we talk about prioritization with the Greenway Commission. From there, you submit your comment. I'm leaving this blank so that I can delete it later. And then you can click here, and it takes you right back to the map, and you can select another one. So hopefully that helps. I know it seems like a lot of trails, and it is, but if you want to comment on 3, that's fine. If you want to comment on 43, that's also fine. Alex, you got anything else?
Thanks for that was really in depth. But yeah, I think there are what are we at? 46. There are 46 individual lines to comment on. Somewhere about that. Whatever. So we're close to that. So you are more than welcome to comment on all of them, a few of them, but this is the actual public input tool. I think that's just to be as clear, like this is what you can, do a bunch of, fill out that form, that survey is what it is, and that is our public input. So, and you can come back to this. Now, this is available until the 29th of November. We're closing at midnight, the 29th of November. We're gonna have another orientation public input session on Saturday at Bishop Park from 9 to 1. and we're going to be adjacent to the farmers market. So you're welcome to come back out, come out. That was in person. We're going to follow all of our guidelines, our department guidelines, our ACC Gov guidelines. But if you want to look at the screen with us in person, you're more than welcome to. And but really the thing to hit home is that this is the public input tool that you're looking at right here. You get to it at the end of the story map, which hopefully explains why we are doing it the way we're doing it this year. But just this is the thing to fill out a bunch. So with that, we've got the QA open, we've got the chat open, and if you want to raise a hand, Mel, our host, can help us out with that.
And we do, I just counted, we have 42 trail segments that you can comment on, not 43.
42, answer to the universe.
But you can still give us 43 trail answers if you want to double up on one. Okay, I see a question for Martha Sweat. Mel, if you want to take, give her.
I'm sorry, I was talking up a storm and I had my phone muted.
Oh,
okay.
No.
Okay. Okay, so did we have a raised hand? I saw that there was
There's something in the QA from Martha Sweat from earlier.
Oh, okay, I have that minimized. Hold on. And there, Daniel, is there any way you can put the collective mileage for the whole trail system on the map, or is that possible?
We could figure it out.
Okay,
Yeah.
I am not seeing anything in the QA panel. I'm sorry, I don't know.
I think it was direct. I'm not seeing it either. I think it's directly at you, Daniel.
Okay, yeah. So if you could just, is Martha Sweat still in the meeting and you can turn her mic on? She says,
sure,
I do have
hold
a
on
question.
one.
Yeah,
Okay,
she's muted right now, so.
Okay, Martha, you are unmuted. I'm sorry about that. You can go with your question.
I'm not hearing anything.
Are you there, Martha? I've got you unmuted. If your audio is not working, you can just type it in the Q&A or the chat. We're not hearing anything.
I can't hear you, but if you type your question in, I can address it.
Okay, I'm going to remute. Looking for virtual raised hands again. If you want to do that virtually, if you look on your screen, there's an icon that looks like an outline of a person with 3 lines. If you click that, there'll be a list of options, and one of them is to raise your hand. You see that? I'll be able to unmute you and answer a question, or you can put it in the Q&A box or the chat box.
Maybe while we give people a second, I'll also point out one thing we didn't hit yet was you can see it right there on the left side of your screen in the About box. At the bottom, there is a email address, park.planning@accgov.com, and feel free to email them, not with your public comment, because we really want that to come through the tool. But if you guys find an error, have a suggestion, need a little bit of clarification about anything, that's a way to get Daniel and the whole park planning team, is if you use that email address. I'm seeing a couple pop up now.
Okay.
Well, let me go ahead
and questions.
I'm going to jump in first. Martha got her question typed out to me. So
okay.
She says, I'm concerned with where the McNutt Creek Trail runs by St. Ives subdivision. So in general, I'm not sure exactly where St. Ives is, but I will say that this being a conceptual line, it doesn't necessarily have to fall exactly through those corridors. If St. Ives subdivision does not want this trail, then we can explore a way to wrap around it. The line is just kind of showing from here to here, this is the general connectivity that we'd like to have. So I totally understand if your property backs up to that. In addition, like this line is not necessarily set in stone. So if this were to get funded sometime in the next 10 years with some source of funding, then we would absolutely hold more public input. We talk to each and every landowner. We always try to listen to everyone and make sure that those things are covered. So if you're still concerned with that, then in this input tool, you can basically click that and click to comment and write out all of your concerns there, and we'll definitely take note of that. Does that cover it? Yep, looks like it. Okay.
Yeah, and Emily Boswell has a similar point.
Right.
That yes, if you're looking at the Greenway Network Plan, and you see, oh man, that's my backyard, that's my neighbor's backyard. This is a long-term plan for overall connectivity in Athens, getting from this zone, this region, this part of town to this other part of town.
Yeah.
And that is why when it actually comes time, hey, we've got, it's time to propose T-SPLOST projects. This section of trail we're really interested in. When the funding becomes available, we actually get it surveyed, go through public input for the specific lines, and that's why, again, if you're following the mayor and commission meetings, you know that the Firefly 3, there's been a lot of talk about the alignments there, and that's that level of public input. It's funded, it's been surveyed. It's time to actually talk to the property owners, like Daniel said. It's time to actually figure out what works best for the community that this trail is going to be touching. So yes, you may see it, the conceptual line running through your backyard. But understand, we're just talking about the idea of connectivity through a region.
Yeah, and to answer your question specifically, where you said, what stage is this portion of the trail in? Just to read the whole question so everyone can see, know what it says. It says, hi there, I'm a resident of River Hill Drive, and it appears that the trail may be built through my backyard. Am I understanding that correctly? If so, what stage is this portion of the trail in, and what is the timeline? So the specific stage here is proposed. It's an idea, just a line on a map. The timeline for this particular section is very far out. Mel, am I right in saying that this is probably very far out? There's a lot of UGA properties through here.
Yeah, this segment, I mean, it's hard to say because what we got funded and everything, but it's at least 10 years out, I would say, if not more. And again, we're, setting priorities kind of based on what the community wants to see for connectivity, which is why that's one of the things that we ask in this input, but also funding comes in slowly and usually in 5 to 10 year stages. And we're working, this last round we did was more on filling some of the gaps we had with the existing trail. And so, yeah, this is a very, very long range plan. I would say some of the farther reaches out are decades away from being funded unless something miraculous happens with our funding resources. And I see some other questions here about TAD districts and the sewer right-of-way. So guys, make sure you get those.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna, there was one addition from Martha. How far out is Magnet Creek Trail? This is actually the first time that this has been proposed. So next year, once we go through the prioritization process based on the public input we receive, that's where we'll kind of find out how far out it is. And to go from there into the question that is in the chat.
Hold on, before you move off of Martha's question, she does have her hand raised, so I'm going to try unmuting her again and see if she has some live interaction. Hold on just a moment. Okay, Martha, you are unmuted again. Okay, I still don't think we have any audio for her. I saw the raised hand, so I wanted to give a chance to unmute. Okay, Martha, if you have follow-up questions, put those out there. But I will say, looking at McNutt's Creek and what we have existing, that one looks like it'd be pretty far out because we'd have to build other trail first just to connect to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and to kind of pair off of that, I'm looking for where I saw. Oh yes, we can hear you. Did y'all hear something?
I heard something. I did. Hmm.
I disappeared.
I mean, just
Oh,
again
here. She got
for
muted again. Let me. Okay, there. Martha, go ahead.
hmm.
Okay.
um, typically these things are trails projects are funded through SPLOST or T-SPLOST. That's our typical funding source. So SPLOST 2020 is an 11-year program. So we're looking at least 11 years before the next set of trails would be proposed. Kind of getting back to that, the part of the story map that talks about construction and current status. And then T-SPLOST will be coming up. There'll be another session of T-SPLOST coming up, but those would typically be already designated high priorities or things in the Greenway Network Plan, not the map, but the written portion, which will be updated next year. That's kind of where that, and if you make the comment and you say, hey, we think this should be a very long-term trail segment in your public comment, well, actually, that's what that influences, is when the Greenway Commission is trying to put together their tiers. So
Just to there was another. I just want to make a clarification from Deb Weiler. She said, "Do I understand that the sewer right of way along McNutt is open to the public?" It is not open to the public. That's private property. I was just saying that we have heard from neighbors in that area that people use that as a trail, but it is not a public right of way thing. The sewer easement is only an easement for the sewer to get through there. So
yeah,
hopefully that
and
makes that more
they
clear.
do maintain it, but yeah, it's not for the public. I
They
want to get to
maintain
this.
it
I
at
got
sewer.
Yeah. So
Um,
Lillian put something in the chat, which we can hit real quick. So from Lillian Beck, a Grady News Source journalist covering the meeting. Once the feedback is due on the 29th, what is the timeline for these plans to be implemented? So from there, we go through the public, the comments that have been made, and kind of collate that data. For us, once the plan is finalized as what we want to present to the mayor and commission, we'll push it through the Greenway Commission, talks about it and then pushes it through, and it gets voted on and approved by mayor and commission. Uh, that is for the plan. That is that's nothing to do with funding. That's nothing to do with like when we'll actually see things on the ground. That's a separate process. The way it works is once the plan has been certified or accepted by mayor and commission, then those plans can influence other things, and again, it's kind of two separate processes.
Um,
Alex, I got a request. Are these, and maybe Daniel, you have mentioned this before, how are these aligned with the TAD district?
Oh, that's Daniel. Yeah, he's got
yeah,
that.
so I tried to make them overlap as much as possible. So after we receive those proposed TAD districts, I do want to highlight they're proposed. I don't think they're official yet. But we tried to pretty much always bring the line inside that district. I think there's a couple spots where the parcel boundary is here and like we have a line here. So I don't know what the rules are with that, if it's like inches away or feet away, if it can be included as part of the funding, but generally I would hope that, having a line there, we can move it into the TAD district. But I tried to make it overlap into the districts as much as possible. And if that's something that people are interested in, I can add a layer right here for TAD districts. Because right here you can see you can turn on government and UGA property as well as our parks. So I can double check with our GIS office, make sure I have the most recent shape files, and then if we provide that in here, you can turn that on and see how that interacts with the TAD district. And then Lillian Beck. So did you already cover that one? I'm sorry. Yes, you did.
In the chat, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe we're caught up with what's been in chat.
Does anyone know where St. Ives Drive is?
Well, and while you're scrolling or looking to that, I want to reinforce that this is a plan. It's a conceptual alignment. It's not a construction document. This isn't something that we're trying to get funded everything on this line. What we're looking at is the general connectivity of where we would like to see the Greenway for the future. And Alex, when he outlined the process, is absolutely correct. When we get down to the part where we actually have sections of trail that have come up as a priority and it looks like we've got funding, that's when we actually start looking at where we need the actual alignment to go, talking with property owners and making sure that we're getting that input so that, you know, we are having our bases covered when it comes time for construction to make sure that we do have the conversations, we are talking with folks, and we are seeing what the comfort level is with people as the trail's moving through their neighborhoods. So just want to make sure that, reiterate that, and Public Utilities does maintain the sewer lines as sewer lines. They are not open to the public, but they do appear to be trails to a lot of people because they're just big open areas, but they are not, in fact, open to the public. So I hope that kind of reinforced some of the questions we had there. Okay, do we have any more raised hands or any questions in the chat?
Nothing new has come up. What you got, man?
Yeah. Oh, just Martha was chatting with me, and because she was asking about St. Ives Drive. So this is the neighborhood right here, St. Ives Drive. It looks like our alignment is going along the creek here, McNutt's Creek. So depending on the parcel boundaries, it's possible that these two houses will have a trail in their, you know, property boundary, not have a trail, but, you know, specified to do that. So I hope that helps answer your question, Martha.
Great. And this is something we haven't said yet at this, but it is worth saying that once we get to a trail that we're building, we do compensate owners for the easements, and then after we have the easements, we do maintain the trail. So you know, never ever eminent domain, nothing like that. So that's why it's really important for us to get input when it comes time to actually build something, because you know it needs to be something that, you know, that both parties are happy when we get into negotiations and compensation for the easement long term. So yeah, I don't know if we've said that. We're so far down in the weeds that sometimes we don't even think about letting you guys know, but just don't. Just want to kind of clear that out of anybody's head.
Oh, and to be clear, the Athens-Clarke County staff don't have the ability to do eminent domain. That's a mayor and commission thing. And so we can't necessarily say that we can't do eminent domain to do these things. That's really up to the commissioners. And so we can say that, I believe, unless Mel, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've used eminent domain for Greenway Trail before.
Yeah, that's
okay. But yeah, just to clarify on that, we do try to be good neighbors, and we, you know, even, you know, we always compensate the easements for the easements. So in an area where if you're getting a sewer line easement and there's a recreational easement on top of that, you, I believe, would be compensated for both, or maybe even the difference between the two, but in addition to the other one. So that part gets really complicated, and that's why we have a SPLOST office project manager. Any other questions?
don't see anything new.
All right. Do we see any
Just
more folks with questions?
just some thank yous. So hopefully that answers everyone's questions.
Okay. I'm looking,
And then
and I'm just
if you want
making
to
sure
share
sweeping
this,
through.
oh, sorry. I was
Oh,
going to
I'm sorry,
say,
just sweeping through
if
the
you
chat.
guys want to share this on your Facebook or anything like that, we definitely want to get the word out. If you want to meet with us in person at a social distance, obviously, we'll be at Bishop Park this Saturday morning. I believe the farmers market is still going on, right?
Yes, yeah, we'll be close to
Okay,
it.
so you can pick up your veggies and then come chat with us, or the other way around.
And this public input is open until 11:59 p.m. on November 29th. So we will be providing a quick instructional video for folks who haven't been to these sessions so they understand how to use this tool, because this is something new that we are using for this section of input. But we're really excited to hear from people on specific sections of trails. And remember, you can comment on all 42 sections if your heart desires. So, you know, we encourage you to comment on as many as you have opinions on. Please don't comment on the same section multiple times, because that really just counts as one comment. But just understand that on different segments, you comment on all those different segments. Let your friends know, let your neighbors know, because the more public input we get, the more voices we hear on this, the better informed we are for this planning process. It's really, really important to us. And thank you so much for everyone that's given their time tonight to listen to this presentation and to give us your input. We appreciate you so much. So thank you.
And I also just want to mention that I know a lot of people feel like public input is kind of a feather in the cap, but we actually do make changes to our route. I've set out time for myself to go in and make actual changes to our network. So, you know, if there's something that, you know, you have a problem with or that you really like we're going to use that to make decisions on what the approved concept will be. Well,
Okay, I think people are done. Remember, you can go to accgov.com/leisureserviceslistens for more information. You can also email parkplanning@accgov.com if you have questions about the map or have any issues with it. With that, we're going to sign off for tonight. Looks like everyone's got their questions out. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Stay safe and good night.